So I think we're going to think about, just finally, reflection and planning, because I think they're a very important part of what we do, particularly being so child-centred. We're taking a lot of ideas and sometimes it can be confusing. So when we're planning a thread, it's really important at the end of a session to just reflect on what worked well, reflect on what maybe needs to be improved, and reflect on what progress the young people are making. And this is where relationships with school staff are so important, because they can really help you see how a young person is managing to maybe to focus and concentrate for longer times. These things can be very gradual. Maybe a young person who is very withdrawn has suddenly become a lot more animated, and it's these wonderful changes, as well as the musical skills and the musical performing that's going on and learning in the class. It's these social and communicative aspects that are so important for us, aren't they?
I think this comes back to staff and their roles as well, because if you're delivering a session on your own, it can be very creative, very hectic, and you may miss the odd thing that somebody has done. But if you've got the staff at the setting on side with you, they will often pick up on developments that you have missed. So again, it's really good to work as a team.
I think that ongoing communication with members of staff and with young people is really important, because sometimes you can think a session's gone really well, and actually there may be something you missed. There may be something that a member of staff thought, oh, I wasn't sure about that. Or it may be that a young person didn't react as well as you thought. So there can be moments that if you don't keep talking to members of staff, you can end up with a crisis point where actually no one's talked about how the sessions are going for quite a while, and there's something that members of staff or young people aren't happy with. So keeping open communication throughout the project is so important. Just asking stuff, how did you feel that went? Asking young people, what did you enjoy? What would you like to do next? Keeping those voices and those paths of communication open, I think, are really central to having a successful project that's led by all the participants.
Yes.
With equal control. I think that's so important. And when you're planning, I quite often have a plan I've got a long-term plan and I've got a weekly plan, but I really enjoy young people saying, but can we do this? And adapting my plan to suit that. So I've got my plans and my learning objectives, but we can learn different musical skills in so many different ways. And I would far rather follow a young person's idea, and for them, particularly when it's a young person who maybe hasn't offered something before, and follow that and adapt my plan, than stick to my plan and then feel disempowered.
Yes, I think when we write up plans for each session, we are writing a framework, probably with quite a few different activities in it and warm-ups and games, and we know that probably in the majority of the sessions we won't get through everything that we have planned to do. But the reason that we do that is because if something is not working, then we can swiftly move on. Also, I'd just like to say that I think it's important when you're having a good, creative and busy session to make little notes along the way, because however big a development may be in a particular session, by the time that you come to the end of it, you might forget to write it down. So it's not a problem to write little notes to remind yourself of the big things that have happened throughout your sessions.
I really enjoy gathering young people's feedback as well.
Yes.
Sometimes I do that by recording their comments. Sometimes they might want to come and say something on their own because they're maybe a bit shyer. Sometimes they might want to write things down, but hearing young people's voices and them saying what they've particularly enjoyed, sometimes it's not what you thought. And I think that's really, really important, to keep asking and keep listening, because then you can really have those young people's voices at the centre of your session. And when you come to do your next session, you've got your notes from the last one and you can look back and go, oh yeah, that person was just there, and maybe they'll open up a bit more today. Those notes are so important for seeing what might happen and helping to facilitate progression, not only musically but socially as well. And I think that's what's so lovely about community music, that it's very holistic.